Okay. So I've decided that I don't like having to do the math to figure out where the points are in FontForge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw all the letters in here, right? Using the program that I know how to draw, and then I'm going to measure where they are and then multiply them so that I can do less math, and that'll tell me where the pixels have to be. So I'm going to start with A because I don't know, it just seems rather. I've been doing A anyways. Okay. So these have to be parallel, and at 3 millimeters, what if I made them 0.5? Not 0.5, 0.4. That's, what if I made them 0.8? And I brought them in. Okay. Moving anything is going to be tedious because there are 31 times 2, 62 little grids here. One for each character that I need. Dragging things is not a good idea. Okay. I don't like what this means for me. It means I'm gonna have to make a whole sketch for every single one of these letters. Okay. Okay. So now I can move these. And what if I put this there and this there, and I mirrored it? Both of these. And then this is the baseline here. So I'd have to trim it here. And then I would need another line here. And that would have to be 0.8. And that I don't like the look of. So if I make it 0.4 and 0.4 and whoa. Oh, it's because of the trims. Okay, so now if I bring that in here, delete coincident. Okay then, I guess I'll just have to design half of this ahead of time. Whoops. Okay. So I don't want holes, because holes end up making it not existing. Or holes end up not existing anyways. So what I want is for these to be parallel. And for this to be a reasonable distance. But it has to be a multiple of 4. Or a multiple of 0.4. And if I mirror this, okay, and then I take this and I trace everything that needs to be part of the letter in the font, there's what ought to be A. No. That looks better, actually. I'll have to figure out how kerning works one of these days in order to get this font done. So now all I gotta do is measure this. And this. And this. I just gotta measure all of these. Okay, now if this is 3 millimeters, then 1,000 pixels. If 1,000 pixels was 3 millimeters, 1,000 divided by 3 is a number. Anyways, name this sketch to A. Tentatively. Okay. Make another sketch. That's gotta be 0.6. That's gotta be 3. And that's gotta be 3. Okay. I want to make M now. The reason I want to make M now is because, let's see. M is a pretty long letter. It's like the longest letter that you can make. So, and then M also has a bit that doesn't play nicely with 3D printers. So that would have to go to the top, and then that would go down there. Then this would be parallel with this. And then the distance between these two would be 0.4. And the distance between these two would be 0.4. And then I've got this, and that's why I need to figure out M, because ideally this ought to be 0.4. But now this changes the angle. And actually, I like that. I like that that changes the angle. So if I make this 0.4, 0.2 then. And if I trim it, and I mirror it, what do I get? I get a very short M. So I like that. I like that that's getting wider. Because the more this happens, wait. Can I move this down? Okay. Because that looks like an M. But the trouble with this that I don't like, what I don't like about this is this section here can easily bend upwards. I'm not sure what to do about that. M is one of those problems. Because that looks like an M. But I don't like... Can I bring it all the way down? Because if I bring it all the way down... I'm noticing that this... Okay. If I bring it all the way down... That still looks like an M. And actually, I think that's better. So if that is, and that is that. So now this doesn't have so much risk of it being. And then if I close off the outside of the M. Okay. And I think that looks good. So now if I close off all the outside bits, the parts that are outside of the M, I think that's good. So M, I think that's what I'll go with for M. Okay. Alright. So the next one that I want to make that is going to be annoying is lowercase f. Lowercase f has the problem of being shaped like that in general. And I had to put these lines in weird places because the stupid arrows wanted to go in stupid places. And the problem with these is that they stick out a bit. And this one too. So, what do I do about that? I can solve this half, I think, by making this, getting rid of that. And I can bring the whole f over here. Not sure what to do about this. What happens if I define this? That was something I was not looking forward to. That does look like an F. Now what happens if I point 4 and I do that again? Oh, that doesn't look like an F. It looks like something trying to be an F. But what happens if I round these off too? Oops. Nope, hang on. What happens if I put a circle, not there? Well, okay. Here. And the inner of the circle is that. And then that, and then I trim it. See, now that doesn't look like an F, does it? But what happens if I put this there? That somehow looks more F-y than the than the circle. The circle looks less F-y than the triangle. So what happens if I make this, what is this? 0.6, so if I make that 0.8, that doesn't look bad, but then this would be 0.8, but then that's a triangle and I'd have to round that off. And that just doesn't look nice. And if I trim it right here, and I do this, and if I extrude it, I don't know, it doesn't look very F-y. It looks almost like an F, but it looks like it looks like something that's not quite an F trying to be an F. What if I had this? Okay. How does that look? Oh. Where does that come from? No, because that looks more like a lowercase h. Okay, what if I had just a little hint, just a little suggestion, like that? Okay, so if I put a line from here to here and measured that, that would be 0.2, and I think that looks like an F. If I put the A next to it... Oh, wait, hang on. Because this much shouldn't have a risk of coming out, but this is still at risk of coming out, of popping off. But I think I like this for this bit. And then for this, I feel like all I really can do is round it. That doesn't look like an F. I think the best I can do with this is keep this as short as I can. It just doesn't look right. What happens when I fillet this? And if I get these corners, yeah. I think it's fine as long as I I think it'll be fine as long as I do this. Have to go get my laundry. Hang on. Okay, I got my laundry. I'm gonna not fillet all those edges. I think I want to do that in FontForge. Okay, this one is F. Okay, I think now I'm just gonna go in alphabetical order. Okay, so now B. I think B is gonna be easy. Just a little bit easy. Let's see, trim. Oh wait, hang on. That's right. We'll go back to F. Okay, cool. That went to the... Okay. Actually, no, I'm not going to do B. I'm going to do lowercase a. I'll do both cases of each. So lowercase a is going to have a circle. Then it's going to have probably a rectangle. I'm going to put a construction line here and then here. That's halfway through the... Okay. So now the circle is going to be lower than that. And then I don't think the rectangle should be coincident. Or yeah, I think it should actually go in it a little bit. And then I think, okay, to make a good looking A, there would need to be, I don't know, something like this. Okay, that's gonna be difficult. Okay, lowercase a is gonna be difficult because I can't have, it's not capable of doing holes well. So I think, what if I just, no, okay. Okay, and then a circle near the top here, like this. That's an issue. I think if I put a line here, Okay, let me do a rectangle. It's gonna be about the size of the A minus that little hat part. Then if I curve this about there. Okay. And then I do another rectangle. Like this. Okay. Except this needed to be 0.4. And this needs to be 0.4. And then curving this. Let me make this one concentric with this one. Failed to solve. Okay. I think that's what I ought to do. Okay. Okay, so let me start now with a circle and an offset 0.4. And construction line from the center of the circle. Okay. This ought to be 135. Never mind. Okay. This should be 45 at most. And also, this line needs to go through the... Actually, 30 looks better. Alright. Now if I put another circle underneath it that goes down to the bottom here. And if I bring that... Okay. And... needs to be a little bit bigger than that bottom part. What is this? Let's make that point. No, not 0.8. 0.6. Okay. And if I make this circle 1.2. Okay, and then I moved this up to like... Why can't I move this circle? Okay. Move this to this circle. Okay. If I trim it, now what do I get? But then if I bring down a rectangle here, and then I make this go there and there, and then I trim it. Okay. That's acceptable, kind of. One. 0.4. No, that's just gonna change that. This is from this one to this one is 0.4. And then .5. Now where is that center line? Because it's okay if it goes a little above the center line. Then if I have whoops, this and this, okay, I'm gonna measure wherever this is, and then I'm gonna make this one go there. Okay, and then that's what I need, and then I need this to go here. Ah, okay. The circle can't be 10. Okay, that's what I needed to change. Okay. Okay. Delete this. Okay. I need to measure. Yes. Every single piece of this. And then if I... Okay, cool. So now I can make this 1.2 and put it underneath the line. Have that go underneath the line. So now I can move this close to the middle there. Put a line going from here to here, and from here to here, and from here to here, and from here to here. All the way out. Okay. Now if I trim all the excess, and I extrude this, actually no, put a line here. And here. Okay. And I extrude this. What does that look like? That looks like a curvy D. Okay, if I bring out this and I bring out this, okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is test something real quick. Okay, so now if I bring up all of these bodies and I move this one this way, and I move this one this way, what does that look like? That looks like something. Hang on, I'm going to pause recording real quick and I'm going to go see what my sister says this looks like. Okay, so my sister was able to read the word fam here, which is good. So I'm going to come back in the A real quick and see what happens if I round off, see what it looks like if I round this off. This corner here. And this corner here. Like, again, I want to round off these corners in the font software, but then if I bring these back, okay, so I think what I want to do is make this line vertical. Okay, and then if I put this, I don't know, like there, and then I trim it. Now how does this look? That still looks good, and then what happens if let me just round them off here. If I round this off. I think that'll work. I could just put that there. Okay, that's where it's gonna stay. That's where it's gonna stay for now. What if I bring this in a little bit? Okay, I think that looks better. So now what I'm gonna do is change all these extrusions to 0.4. And then what I'm gonna do is okay. So now what I'm gonna do is test out these individual letters by printing them. And then let me change this sketch to include also this because okay. Okay. So rename this to fam. And I'm not looking for like how they look together yet. I'm looking for how the letters themselves print. So save that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now I'll export, or I'll print that and see how well they print. And if they print well enough, I will continue with at least the F and the A. I might redesign the M and the capital M and the capital A, but I'm not sure. I think if I keep the bubbliness of the lowercase letters and the straightness of the capital letters more or less consistent, then it'll look more or less consistent as a font. This is honestly pretty tough, actually. And then I have to transfer it all into the FontForge program. So, yeah, I'll print this out. I'll think some more about how I'm gonna make some of those other letters, like lowercase t is gonna be probably about the same height as the lowercase a, and have the two bubbles on the sides, like the F has. But yeah, that's gonna be something. That's gonna be something. And this is the positive, and what the font needs to be is the negative space, and then I gotta figure out how to kern them. That's the thing I really need to learn, is how to kern. Anyways. Print this out, see how well the letters print. I have no worries about the M, actually. The M should be fine. I have great worries about the F, and I have moderate worries about the A. This right here is the part that I'm worried the most about. Will this be separate enough to be able to tell that this is an A? Oh no, wait, never mind. Because I wanted to, because this curve is going to be in the final letter, I believe. Because yeah, okay. So yeah, gonna see now. Hopefully the F and the A work. Okay, so I didn't even bother recording myself looking at this when I printed it because it was so small that if you were to draw letters by hand with a mechanical pencil, with 0.5 lead mechanical pencil on this amount of space, you still wouldn't be able to read it. So like I made it too small. That's what I'm saying. So I'm going to go back in the sketches and change all these to be 5. And then these strokes are going to be 0.8 wide. So that'll be 1.6 then. This is gonna have to come in. Alright, so now I can move these in to about there. Alright. This one, the strokes are 0.8. Alright, bring that to about there. What was this? Oh, this was the... Yeah, I don't need that. Okay. Okay. If I make the... If I go to 5 and make the strokes 0.8, right? I think that'll make things a lot easier on me. Okay. Oh my goodness. I might have to completely redesign. Oh man. That's still too big. That's better. And okay, cancel that one then. Bring it up some. And then this can be 0.4. And hopefully that'll actually show up on the... Okay. Actually 1.2. Then if I move it up a little bit more, okay. Alright, I think that'll work for F. And for A, this is the one that's going to be the hardest to change. that's gonna have to... Maybe I'll have to redo A completely. Yeah, I think I'll have to redo A completely. Okay. So if I put a circle at about here, oh, and that's got to be 1. In fact, let me go back into the other ones, make them all be 1 also. Okay. Then get rid of the bodies. So A looks good, capital M looks good, lowercase f looks alright, and lowercase a I have to remake. What if I made these equal? And if I just put a line going from here out to here, then I made a rectangle. I trimmed it. Vertical, horizontal, and then going out to here. What does that do? If I put a line going from here to here, another line going from here to here, this line I got rid of, and from here to here, and from here to here. Okay, and how big is this? I want that to at least be 3. If the capital letters are 5, then the smaller lowercase letters ought to be about 3, I feel like. But I feel like that is a good A. Yeah, I feel like that's a good looking A. I might yeah, okay, I'll keep that. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll take these letters and remake them and hopefully be able to get something printable. Because the bump on the F didn't even show up. I mean, it's in there, kind of. But not really. So I need these strokes to be bigger, and I need the letters to be bigger. Oh, hang on a second. I just realized something, especially with the A, which is going to be especially helpful with the A. If I make it 5-point font, then from here to here, or 5mm font, then from here to here is 5mm, not from here to here. Because that's how this program works. So if from here to here was 5mm, then from here and if this was 800 or 8 and this was 2, so 5 was 80% of something, then it would actually be 6.25. So I could afford a lot more then, because I can afford a little bit more space in these letters then, because the 5 is from here to here. So when I do that, I'm going to take advantage of that then, because that means that I can make the features a lot bigger and a lot easier to print. But what else it means is going to change it's just going to change the multiplier when I have to figure out the coordinates in FontForge. Then I'm going to have to figure out how to kern things, but whatever. I think I'll need to do that with this lowercase a. Once I figure out the lowercase a, lowercase b will be super simple, because it'll be just a circle and a line, and then d will be that, but reversed. But since I can afford more space, can I fit the whole thing underneath the halfway point of this line? Oh, you know what? It already is. Okay, so in that case, this is pretty good. And if this doesn't turn out working too well, then I can still just make it a little bit bigger, because like a lowercase letter I'm not trying to rename it. I'm trying to edit the sketch. Sketch 9 F M A 4. Delete these. Clear up the bodies. Okay. A F M. Okay, because I can probably afford to make it about this tall, right? That's probably how tall a lowercase letter can go, which is a little bit taller than the halfway point, the halfway mark between the top and bottom of the line. So, but that's if this doesn't work, because I'm being lazy right now. Also, if I can fit A into a smaller space, that means I can fit more complex letters into... if I can get A to work in a smaller space, I can probably get the more complex letters to work in the big space. Because there's... For the lower cases, G might be an issue. Actually, G can just be the A but upside down, now that I think about it. Y might be an issue, but probably not. A, B, C, D, E, E. E is going to be tough. E is going to be tough. P will probably be the same as a capital P, but smaller and lower. Q... I'm not going to like Q, I don't think. S. Capital S is already going to be hard. I'm going to have a tough time with the lowercase s, which is just a smaller capital S. If F works, then T won't be too hard. But if F doesn't work, then I got to think on T. U ought to be fine. V should be fine. W, X, Y, yeah. So E would be the hardest one, and then lowercase s. N and M. Ooh, N and M will also be tricky because lowercase m has... Yeah, M will be tricky, and then N can just be half of the M. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I firmly believe that the only reason why every single font sucks to be printed is because no one's designed a font to be printed. So yeah. If I can't figure it out, someone can. Heck, I might not figure it out. Because this is tough. I'm already like 3 or 4 hours into this project, and I've got maybe an A and maybe an F. Maybe. So yeah. I'm gonna go back into these sketches then. Gonna go ahead and put this there. so that I can print out, so I can extrude this. And then go into the A, do the same thing. Okay, apparently I made a rectangle. Measure that. Okay. Measure that so that when I put the collinear, it moves this one and not this one. And then the M, alright, bring up these bodies, move this one to about, see if I was doing kerning the right way, and if I was making these letters the way that the program intended for me to make them, the way that FontForge intends me to make them, these are the letters I would be making, and kerning would make me do this. And the way I would do kerning would put F in, or A inside the F. But because of how this font, how I intend for this font to work, it actually has to be more like this. And that A is going to look weird because the F, so the F and the A are going to look weird. So if I start a sketch here and put okay, then I put that, right? And then, so how I intend for this to work is hopefully this. So this one, whoops. This one's here, this one's here. Bring this in, bring this in, bring these in. And then to the back of it, join. Okay, so hopefully this will say the word, hopefully this will be visible and able to be read when this prints. Hopefully. So then rename this to that. Save it. Yes, replace it. And I'll see if this is easier to read. Oh wait, hang on. I like that position for the bump on the F better. Okay. Okay, so now I will save this and hopefully it will be easier to read. Okay, so it was more visible but not visible enough. I'm not gonna be able to take a video of what got printed because I picked it up, or I took it off the build plate and then I dropped it, and it's a teeny tiny little flap, and I cannot for the life of me find it. So, but from seeing what I saw, okay, this should be 6.25. These should be 1.2 millimeter strokes. Failed to solve. Why did it fail to solve? I don't know. This should be 6.25 divided by 5. Okay. 1.25, understood. Okay, now it was able to solve. Let's make that 0.8. Yikes. Put that up there. And if it's going to be as big as that, then I might as well make a plain old rectangle, right? It has to be at least 0.8. And if it's 1.2, so now what this stroke will do is okay. So now that stroke is normal looking. I hope it doesn't peel off of. It probably won't. It probably won't. So 1.2. It's a 0.4, so it's gonna go, and that'll be, and then it'll go like this. Then I'll probably have to retract and do this. So if I make it 1.6, then it won't have to retract. It can go like that. So for A, I'm gonna need to make A bigger. And I'm gonna, okay, I'll just delete everything then. These are equal. This is 6¼ millimeters. Put a line there at 1¼ millimeters, which actually makes sense because if this is 6.25 and then from here to here is 5, the subtraction of that is 1.25, so yeah. So now a circle and an offset from the second circle at 1.2. So I think a rule that I'm going to need to have to make these letters is that they need to have at least, they need to be big enough that the printer can draw it and then put infill inside of it. I think that's going to be a rule for these letters. Anyways. Nope, wrong kind of rectangle. 1.2. Make this one tangent to that. Make this go down there. Bring this down. To here and up to here. And what is this? Yikes. I can probably afford to put a circle inside of this, and okay. Nope, trim. That was okay. Okay, put this circle in there somewhere. Just has to be if I put this here. What is that point? Why is that snapping there? Bring this underneath to about there. And I trim from everything else. I put a line here. And what is this? Ooh, I don't like that. That ought to have been 1.2. So I see. Well, if I trim it, put a line here, and here, and here, and here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and put this there, bring up A, extrude it by 0.4 millimeters. I think that might be able to print on its own. Maybe. What is the size of this? What is the height? 3.8 millimeters? I think that's about what it's going to have to be in order for it to work. Let's bring this, let's bring both of these out. And then, actually 0.6. Yeah. And then let me check F. Okay. Okay. And then M. I'm not changing. Okay, yeah. M has to be 1.2 strokes, and then this has to be 6.25, 6.25, 1.25, 1.2. Bring that out. These were to allow me to print just the M. And M is kind of the widest possible letter because it's got the most things that go up and down, you know, it's got the most strokes in that direction. Okay, put this line there because it has to About there. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and print these out individually then. These little bits right here are obviously not part of the actual letter. They're just kind of to see how well it works going into a part. So this right there, that's the letter. So I'll save these. Let's see, rename A. Rename, okay. Now, rename this one to F. And rename this one to M. NA. How big is this? 1.49? Maybe I should have made it 1.6. Is it too late to change anything? Oh, that's nice. Except that now this is... Let me try and... Okay. Okie dokie. 1.6 is a multiple of 0.4, obviously, and will therefore be a much better size for that circle to be. So I've got A, F, and M. So I'm going to move F and create a copy of it, actually. And I'm going to move M and create a copy of it. Then I'm going to get rid of these two. I'm going to create a copy of this one. Okay, so now if I move these to about where they ought to be, okay, and then I can combine these. hopefully that will be, yep, and that one, yep. Okay, so now if I extrude all of these little pieces here, there, now I've got a weird, crazy thing. It should say FAM. It looks good in the model, but if I was to make it about as big as it's supposed to be, and if I was to scale that down until it was the correct size on my screen in real life. One more scale down. One more. Okay. It looks bigger. That's about what it should look like, and that scares me. It could be that these are too close together. Yeah, okay. If I can get these to work, then those will be the rules that I use for designing the rest of them. Also, you know what? Just occurred to me. This might be difficult, and this might be difficult. So if instead of having this little curve here, I just went straight up and down, this one? Yeah. Okay. Does that still look like an A? Yeah, but it looks more like an upside down G, but it's fine. Okay, so then save this, make this one FAM, replace it, and then I'll print this out and hopefully it'll work better, I hope. Okay, I finally got something I can show. The M is very clear, but The M was always going to be clear. The A, if the camera can focus, is actually pretty all right. And the F is barely the F is visible, barely, but it is visible. And through the naked eye, it looks like a lowercase f, but through the camera, it looks like a capital F. But I think I thought of something. There's no reason why lowercase letters have to be smaller than uppercase letters, right? So what if I just made the lowercase letters as tall as the uppercase letters? So that's what I think I'm going to try next, is that. Because if I do that, I have a lot more space to work with for some of the really hard letters. Because a lot of the harder letters are lowercase letters. A lot of capital letters are a lot simpler than a lot of lowercase letters, which is really annoying. But if I make them the same height, then they can be the same. They can be I can fit more complex shapes in them, you know? So I'm going to try that next, is making them all the same height. And I might not even use the under part of the line. You know how like a lowercase y has a tail that goes underneath the line? I might just keep that above the line because it'll be easier to see it that way, I think, you know? Again, this is designed to be optimized for 3D printing, not to necessarily be the best looking font. It just has to be legible if it's 3D printed, you know, something you can read. All minimum is you can read it reliably, you know. But yeah. Anyways, the size of the letter is pretty nice. It's about 5 millimeters tall, so that's pretty good. That's what I was going for. Hopefully I can get this into FontForge without it screwing up, but yeah. Okay, what does that look like? Yeah. I think that looks like fam. So I'll do some more. Okay, so where is it? This one. I printed it, and to me, I could read it. Now, there were issues, like this chunk of the F didn't come out too good. And the A was readable, but it wasn't necessarily the best, right? But I could read it, and that's great. So I think I've got rules. I think I have at least one rule now for how to make this font printable and readable. So that rule is the strokes, the width of the lines has to be 1.2 millimeters if the height here is 5. Now the next thing I want to test out, I had this idea while it was printing. Lowercase letters don't necessarily have to be shorter than uppercase letters, and lowercase letters have a tendency to be more complicated shapes than uppercase letters. If I were to make some text right now with, let's make that one, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Then all the caps. Okay. If you look at the Y, this Y and that Y, the lowercase one is more complex. The T is a lot more complicated than that T here. S is the same. O is the same. P is technically a more complicated shape. The K is not a simpler shape, but it is a tougher shape. The K is not a simpler shape in lowercase, but it is a tougher shape. And then this right here, the I and the J, they have dots that are separate from the letter. In a 3D print, if it was shaped like this, that would be floating. I can't do that. Because the floating piece is a separate piece. It has to be connected. So I have to come up with a way of making a lowercase I that looks different from a capital I and looks different from a lowercase l, because the L is just a line, that has a dot probably, right? And what I can think of is maybe rotate the square to make it a diamond shape. That's what I can think of so far. E, lowercase e and capital E. So the A was the A that I made, right? Is like a simplified version of this shape. And then the E that I'm going to make is going to be tough for lowercase. And then the capital E and capital F are going to be tough. The top here is going to be fine, right? The top here of the F and the E are going to be fine. The bottom of the E is going to be fine. It's the middle part here, right? The F actually came out nicely with the middle that I printed. If I can, where'd I put it? I don't remember where I put it, so I'm just going to look at the picture I took of it. Yeah, the F in the lowercase one was fine. There are going to be some interesting challenges here. I already decided no holes, because holes are difficult to print. Q. Q is going to be an interesting question. And I think it might be better for lowercase. I think something that might be better is for something that ends kind of, it has a curve and ends with a straight line. Might be better if I drew it with a diagonal line. But I'm not sure. I'm gonna test some things, right? But I do have a very basic understanding of at least one concept that will help me, which is the thickness of the lines has to be 1.2 millimeters apart. That is the minimum size that can be 3D printed in the first layer and be able to be read. Because of the 0.4 millimeter width. If I had a smaller nozzle, then it would probably be able to be printed with like 0.6 or 0.75, depending on the size of the nozzle, you know. But now I have to think about what I'm gonna do for each of these letters, right? So for the lowercase a, it's pretty much done, except that I want to test out making the lowercase letters as tall as the uppercase letters. For lowercase b, should be easy. C would have to be the same. See, some of these letters, because they're just smaller versions of the big letters, will be the same as the big letters, as the uppercase letters, and that might cause an issue with the with how it reads, but I don't know yet. I can maybe come up with something like W. W would be weird. Maybe I can make the capital W straight and the lowercase w curvy. Can't do that for V though. And then U would have to have a tail. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna try though and make a few of these letters actually stand out. Not stand out, actually readable. So if I make A, right, a lowercase a, gotta make my little box here. Right? And if I were to make it as tall as the rest of the letters, right, I would put it in about here. And then from here to here will be 0.8. All right. Now if I trim it, and then I put a circle here, and I put a line going all the way down here. I put this circle here. And then I can probably just if I move this, okay, so I can change. That's 3.8. Let me make it 3.2. No. How about 4? Yeah, that looks good. So now if I trim it, whoops, that's not the trim tool. And I do this, right? Because in the font that I make, this is the positive space would be all these spaces. Actually, I might be able to do this, you know. So if I put a little rectangle here and a little rectangle here, and I extrude this, I think that looks close enough to an A, especially in the context of other letters being there. But that's the easy one, right? That's the easy one to make the same size as all the other ones. S is the hard one. S and C are the hard ones. So for capital C and lowercase c, so for capital C, because capital C's tend to be taller in a lot of fonts, well, have to be taller, they tend to look thinner. So I think the capital C can be 2 circles. and a line. Hang on, these have to be equal. Then if I trim it, oh, the circles have to be smaller than that. Okay, do the same thing on this side. Where did that come from? Whatever. Anyways, that's the idea, and then the lowercase c can be two circles, or just a circle, right? And it can be cut off like that. And that would be the lowercase c. But S is going to be very difficult to make a different, to make look like a lowercase letter. Because S, if I drew a spline, then I just offset it. Ooh, never mind. S is going to be tough. Because it's tough anyways, right? To even draw an S to begin with. But I think what I can do is I can make the capital S also skinnier than the lowercase s. Because if I do that, that'll make the lowercase s look squatter. Yeah, okay. So for the capital S, I'm going to have two sets of circles. And then I'm going to make the inner ones equal. I'm going to have a line that goes up to here. Make this vertical. And then have a line that goes up to here and make those collinear. And then have a line that goes from here to here. And make this vertical. Alright. And then these have to be 0.8. The reason it has to be 0.8 is because it needs the circle needs to cross the line so that there's something touching the rest of the part that this is stenciled into. So now if I put a line here on this one and here on this one, and I trim this, That didn't work. Ah, okay, so I'm going to need to put a line here that is tangent to this one and tangent to this one. And then another line that does the opposite, that does the same thing, right? It's tangent to this one and tangent to this one. So hopefully these are parallel and I can measure their distances from each other, and it's 1.2, which is perfect. So now if I trim it, I can get rid of all of this bit. I can trim off this bit, and I can trim off this bit. Whoops. Same thing on this side. That'll be the capital S. Okay. Then I'm gonna put that line. I'm gonna put that line closer to the S. All right. So that's the capital S, and that actually looks pretty good, except that the bottom circle should be bigger. Honestly, I don't know why, but apparently when the bottom of the S is bigger than the top, it looks better. But I'm not drawing the S right now. I'm just going over what I think. Well, I'm just trying to practice essentially making letters that tend to look like. I want to make a lowercase s the same size as the capital S and differentiate it from the capital and see if that's possible, you know? So, that's equal to that, and that's equal to that. Okay, so now if instead of a circle I made an ellipse, and I made another ellipse, I forgot to okay, hang on. There. There. Okay, now if I make this equal to this, and this equal to this, and then I delete this, and I offset it by 1.2. Offset from this ellipse 1.2. There, okay. Now I can move this around and move the whole thing. So then this will be, make sure that's vertical, and 0.8. And then the same thing here. From here to the middle, make it vertical and 0.8. And this has to be collinear to this. Let's make this a little bit more like that, right? So if I do this now, and then this one, and oh, I can't do that. Okay, make this tangent to this one. And make this touching that one. And then make them parallel. And then bring that in a little bit more. Okay. And because they're parallel, they should be touching the same point. So it should be fine to start trimming everything. All right. So which one is capital? Yeah. This one looks lowercase, this one looks capital. Weird, right? Weird because in this instance, the big one is the small one. But it works. This letter looks more at home with the lowercase a than this one does. And yeah, the bottom not being bigger than the top makes the bottom look smaller than the top. So that's kind of interesting. But S has another issue, and it's the same issue that F had, which is that my lowercase f has this little piece, and this didn't show up in the print, right? I mean, it did, but it didn't show up well. So in order to make that visible, I think I'm going to try and practice something on S, because S has it twice. So I think to make it show up more easily, I'm going to try and practice that with S. And I think once I can figure out how to get this to show up on something, I've got the basis for the rules for the font. I feel like I'm putting a lot more effort into this than people who know how to design fonts. Not just because I'm learning this, but because people who make fonts do it for aesthetics, and they don't engineer it. So yeah. And then E is going to also be an issue. Anyways, I think, no, E has... I can learn, yeah. Yeah, I think capital E is going to be the next thing that I need to learn how to do. Because if I can figure out capital E and this S, I should know enough to be able to do all of the letters. And then I can actually start designing the letters in earnest. But first, I'm just going to go ahead and try and print out this S. Wait, what happened to this? What happened to that line there? That's weird. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and try and print out these S's. I'm going to do them both because... Oh, that's so weird. Why does that change that line's relationship? Oh, it's because I trimmed it, I think. Whatever. Oops. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and make these the same size because what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of this and show it to my sister and ask her which one is capital, which one is lowercase. Okay, and this sketch is SS. Oh wait, hang on. SS. See, look, the lowercase s looks more squat than the capital S. I hope that when I actually make the font in FontForge, none of this gets screwed up, because, like, I think what's going to happen, and I hope this doesn't happen, but I think what's going to happen is the program is going to, or the font is going to get rasterized, right? And then Fusion is going to try to unrasterize it. Because if you look at the fonts, if you look at the that's wrong. That's the sketch. Okay. If you were to look at the font here, just a normal font, right? There's pixels. So then when you bring the font back and then you extrude it up, right? We've got straight lines. We got a whole plane. It's not pixelated. So the font, which is a series of vectors, right? That's what all fonts are. Is a bunch of vectors. has been rasterized to fit the size of this, right? Now, it could also be that this rasterization is just to display it in the sketch, and that these are the actual vectors that the font has defined. I hope that it's the latter case and not it got rasterized and unrasterized, because that would suck. Anyways, I don't need that. Rename this sketch to SS. Okay. Gonna go ahead and put some okay. Okay. I don't know what's going on with this S, but this isn't my final version of it, so it's fine. It's fine. As long as nothing happens to it. Okay. This stupid letter. Yeah, it's here. It's here. Just there. There, okay. It's such a small line that it should be fine. Okay, there. Now I can include these bits. Okay, now I will save them and I will test them. I need to... Okay, this one's where it's gonna be. This one. Oops, not that. That. This one I'm gonna include these bits. Okay. This one is capital S. And this one is lowercase s. And of course they're not done yet because they kind of don't look nice. If I can make them look nice at all, that is, but I'm mostly testing my idea for, can I make lowercase letters the same height as uppercase letters and differentiate them from the uppercase letters so that you know what's what. That's what I'm testing. And I'm also trying to see how to get this kind of thing, this here thing printed. Because this is not connected to anywhere, right? And that's not impossible. It worked on the F, but it's not ideal either. So it might be that there has to be a minimum height here to get it to work. Because on the F, if I look at the F, what happens here if I put a line here and a line here? What is that? 0.738, yeah. So this is shorter. But also, this is 0.4. And I don't think I defined the size of the circle on the S. And the S probably has a bigger circle. Yeah, it's closer to 0.5. So I might need, again, things need to be a little bit chunky to be easy to print. There has to be like, because like a little wisp is gonna peel off of the plate, you know? But yeah, I'll go ahead and take these and save them. And this one. No. Rename this to little s. Oops. Okay. So apparently, it's not case sensitive when you save the 3MF files. Which is weird because I think Windows File Explorer is case sensitive. Anyways, I'm gonna save this here. I'm gonna slice these and print them, and hopefully they'll print fine. And if they print fine, then I don't have to worry about these features. But if they don't print fine, then I do have to worry about these features, and I have to figure out how to fix them. Oh, and also I got to figure out the dots on the lowercase and capital, or on the lowercase I and J. Because like with the J, right? It's going to pretty much be the same except for the dot. The top is going to either be a cap or a dot. With the I, if I don't put the dot, it's going to look the same as an L. And that is a thing that a lot of fonts like to do, is make capital I's just a line and then lowercase L's are just a line. And it's really annoying and it pisses me off. I once was reading a freaking book in high school. It was an instruction manual for how to use Adobe software. And the font in the book was not the same font used in the software. And it didn't have a picture of the drop-down menu that it was telling me how to navigate. And it had an I that I mistook for an L. And I spent like 10-20 minutes trying to find the L, but it was actually an I, and it was annoying. And then somehow the internet has decided that the default font of the internet is going to be one of those fonts where a capital I looks like a lowercase l, and that is completely ridiculous. I dislike it. Anyways, gonna go ahead and print this. The S and the S. One of them's capital, one of them's lowercase. Trouble is, I think that this one is lowercase. What does everyone else think? Is this one lowercase to everyone else, or is this one lowercase to everyone else? I think this one's the lowercase because it looks more squat, even though it's the same height and technically bigger. But we'll see and I'll see if it prints at all. So if it prints at all, it is a success. So hopefully this works. They printed just fine. So the next thing I have to test is capital E. And if capital E comes out correct, then I have all the information I need to make the full font, I think. So that's good. Also, these are taking like a minute each to print because like they're just individual little tiny letters. And they are tiny letters. They're like small. Like it's smaller than my thumbnail. Look at that. So, but I also think that 5mm height is the minimum size to make any text in a 3D print. So, yeah. But yeah, this is good because I'm getting closer to being able to make this font. And if everyone I show this to agrees with me on which one is the capital and which one is the lowercase, then that'll be even better. But I'm getting there. I'm gonna have to design every single letter, but I'm getting there. Okay, so the S's both came out alright, which is pretty good. So now I'm gonna check the E, check and see if I can do E. Capital E. So, gonna go ahead and get rid of these little S's. Make another new sketch. Make another square. 6 1/4. 1 1/4. And capital E would be simply I think that the way a capital E goes is the bottom one is the longest, then the top one after that, and then the middle one is the shortest. Now here's the part that I'm scared of. That can be as low as 0.8. And then these lines are collinear. And they are 1.2 away from this one. Okay. And that looks like an E. I wonder, can I make this 0.4? That's pretty far. 0.2, okay. And then if I make, what is that, 1.7? 1.6, that looks pretty good, okay. How about that? Move these about there. So what is this? .7. So we'll make it 2.8. All right. And then the letter itself would go about to here, or it would stop here, and then to here, and then put another one here. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and extrude the E, make an E, right? But then I'm gonna put another letter. How about M? I'm going to put another letter right next to the E. Alright. Move this one, create a copy of it, and then get rid of this one, and then alright, and then okay. Okay. So now that is an EM. It looks nice, in my opinion. So name this EM. Yeah, so I'll print this and see how well this works. And if this works well enough, then I can just keep doing that. It is pretty long. It's what, 1.6 millimeters long? That's 4 widths of the nozzle. Yeah. Anyways, 4 widths of a nozzle is pretty long for a letter. But it's also only a little bit longer than this distance here. So ooh, hang on. If E is what I'm worried about. Whoops, hang on. Wrong sketch. If E was what I'm worried about, what if I did this? How would that look? Does that look like an E? It does not. Okay, never mind. It honestly looks more like an F. Might as well define these while I'm at it. If that's 0.8, then this is a driven of 0.6. I think this should be the 0.6 one. And this would be 0.8, right? Yeah. Hang on. Let me look at a... Let me look at what the capital E here looks like. Ah, okay, yeah. Hang on. And then I've got a line going from here-ish to here-ish at about 1. And I've got a line going from here-ish to here-ish at a little less than 1. Okay, so the top gap should be the small one. Got it. That's all I needed to know. Because like when I can follow the conventions of designing a script, I ought to do it so that I don't make something that looks horrible, you know? Because if it's ugly and hard to read, then it's not going to be worth using, you know? But this should work. I think this will work, but just to be sure, because like I want to know if this peels up, you know? And if it peels up, then that's an issue. But if it doesn't peel up, then it's not an issue. And with the S and with the F, they're little problem areas which were similar to this, but not quite the same. They were a lot closer to the top, and so they were supported a lot better by what is representing the rest of the print, the print around the text, you know? So that's what I'm going for here. So I'll go ahead and... Did I save this? Okay, I'll go ahead and get this printed and see how nicely it looks, how it prints, if it prints at all, if the E comes out looking good. And if the E comes out looking good, then I know everything I need to know. Well, I know everything I should know about how to make this font printable, and then I can make most of the letters, and I can start making a couple words with them just to see, you know. Because, like, the more text you have, the more difficult it is to print, because the more complex the shape, right? So, like, what if I have, like, E, 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 S, S, E, S, S, E, 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 F, 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 E, T, 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 A, E, 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 C, you know? I don't know why those particular letters in that particular order would ever be used for anything, but what if I had them? It would be difficult to print, and one of those E's is probably bound to curl up, you know? And I don't know if there's a good and a bad, well, not really. So one of these is probably bound to curl up, right? And I don't know if if the chance of those E's curling up is going to be worth this, or if I have to, like, make it a little bump. But, like, if I have to make it a bump, then I'll make it a bump, but I don't think I'll have to make it a bump. But if one of those E's curls up, right, then by the end of the print, nothing bad should happen, because the rest of the print will probably finish, right? Because this is not going to cause much of an issue. Like, it's not, if it catches or snags, right, it's not like it's going to cause a layer shift, because by the time, because if it's tall enough to cause a layer shift from a snag, it's too tall for the curl up to be an issue, to be the issue, you know? Right? What this would be ugly. But because it's connected to the rest of the print and not an island, right? Then it should be fine for, like, the first couple of layers. And say you wanted the text at just the bottom, right? Then you could make that, right? And then you'd have the text at the bottom, right? And then this. That's funny. Now it says ew. Anyways. And then this won't be an issue because that will cover up that. Anyways. I'm going to print this EM to see how well it works. And and if it works, I'm going to start actually designing all of the letters. And if I design all the letters, I'm going to change the lowercase a to be a tall letter. But yeah. So once I start designing all of the letters, and I know that they are good, I'll have to transfer them into FontForge somehow. And the idea there is by designing them in this program where I can make them quickly and make them according to the relationships between the lines, right? All I have to do is take a measurement from here to here and multiply it by some number. Oh, it's this many pixels, and there we go. You know, that's all I really need to do. So that is going to be it for now for this video. I'm going to print this out and hopefully it'll work. Okay. I printed the... What do you want, Chia? I printed it out and it's hard to tell in the camera, but it did peel up, which is what I was afraid of. Let me see. If I hold it here. Oh wait. That angle right there can show it, I think, maybe? No, that's changing the lighting, not the focus. It peeled up, anyways, but it's still, you can still read it. You can still read it. But because it peeled up, I don't know. I need to come up with some way of keeping it from peeling up or reducing its chances of peeling up. I'm gonna see about rounding off the corners. That's what I think I'm gonna do. Let's round off the corners. Okay, so the middle piece here did end up peeling up off of the print bed. So I'm going to try rounding that and see if that helps, and if that doesn't help, then I'm probably just going to do that. Actually, what does that do? That is E-ish. That's not very E. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and save this again. Wait, hang on. Yeah, there we go. If I make that a little shorter, and you know what? If I'm gonna do that, I might as well round off all of the corners, because not just of E, but like all of the corners and all of the letters, because that'll just make it easier to print, you know? So I'm not gonna bother rounding off these corners here because this isn't the font yet. It's just me figuring out the rules I need to follow to make the font. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this. Yes, replace it. And maybe this one will work better. If this one works better, then that's good. And if it doesn't work better, then that's bad. But I also shortened it to the point where I also shortened it to be shorter than the point where it started to peel up. So I think that it's going to work, maybe. Not 100% sure on that, but I will see. Okay, so this rounded one did better, but it still peeled up just a little tiny bit. But it's so small that, like, I can't even feel it even. I can feel it, but I can barely feel it. But I'm gonna give it one more shot. I'm gonna give it one more redesign. And see what I can do. I think I'm gonna have to make the whole E thinner in order to be more visually cohesive with the rest of the E, or with that little bump there, because I think I'm gonna need it to be just a bump. Also, if you do it this way, it looks like an M, but like that is true of every E. So let's see. Can I show how it curled up? It's hard to show because this is a really low what's it called? The camera doesn't have very many pixels. But like I can feel it when I rub my finger against it, right? It's sticking up a little bit. So if I compare it to like rubbing just the bottom part, those parts, okay, the very bottom part of the E is flush with the rest of the piece, so the middle part of the E is curling up. So I'm gonna have to figure something out to change that. I think it's just gonna have to be a bump. So yeah, and I think I got lucky with that F earlier. So I'm gonna try and figure something out with the lowercase f and capital F. No, because the lowercase f can have the bump on two sides, the capital F can have the bump on one side. Okay, I was gonna say that lowercase f and capital F are gonna be difficult to make different, but it's the S. I might just keep the S the same in both lower and uppercase. Anyways, but yeah, it did curl up again, so I'm going to give it one more redesign, and hopefully that'll work. Okay, so it's still curled up, but it curled up a lot less. So I'm going to go back into the sketch. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to delete these. I'm going to move this in so that these are touching. Okay. But now what I gotta do is bring these in to be more similar. So if I go ahead and Click that, 0.6. Actually, what if I did 0.8? And what about this one? Alright. And then this isn't part of the design of the actual font, but this is for the, well, it will be part of the font, but this isn't part of the letter. This is how the letter interfaces with the rest of the print. But if I do this, that'll make it a little bit easier to print, but it won't make it so much easier that I should do it, because look at how gross that looks. That looks weird. Right? And like this doesn't even need to be very rounded either. I'm just rounding it to make it look closer to the, ooh, what happened there? Okay. I'm just rounding it to make it look closer to the, see, now that's a weird E with that M. Let me change the M real quick. Okay. If I go into the M and I round off that corner and I round off this corner and I round off this corner, that looks better actually. And then these edges are internal to the piece, so that's fine. I mean, these were also internal though. It's just to keep the visual style. Because this looks like some kind of 70s, 60s, I don't know, kind of thing that someone would have made. And this looks, I guess it looks close enough, yeah. Okay, that's, hope this works. Go ahead and save this again. Save, yes, replace it. And I don't know what I'll do if this doesn't work. I mean, why would this not work? It's such a small little thing. It's literally just like, it's just a line and a bump. It's a bump on the log, you know? I hope it works. I'll test it out. Okay. Okay, so it printed, and it printed better, and nothing peeled up. This is flush. It's hard to see. I mean, you can see it, but it's hard to see because it's just a bad camera. This does look like an E, though. It's a good-looking E. The M looks pretty alright as well. So I think I should have all of the information that I need in order to come up with a printable font that is easy enough to read and also doesn't look horribly disgusting. Not sure about the horribly disgusting part. It might end up looking pretty bad, but at the very least it will be possible to read it. So that's the point. I need it to be able to print well enough and to be able to read it. Hopefully that'll work.